The day she saw what she threw away. Ever wonder what it feels like when the universe finally balances the scales? When the person who made you feel worthless watches you become everything they never believed you could be? Stay with me. This is Truth Drama Tales, where every story proves the right ending always finds you. Let's get into it. The morning I signed my divorce papers, Rachel looked like someone had handed her the winning lottery ticket. She was already texting before the judge finished speaking, heels clicking across the marble floor as she walked out without a single glance back. I stood in the hallway in my off-the-rack suit and watched the woman I'd loved for 9 years disappear around a corner like I'd never existed. She got the house, the car, and most of our savings. I got a duffel bag and a one-bedroom apartment above a coin laundry on the east side of town. But 3 years later, when Rachel spotted me across the rooftop terrace of a black-tie charity dinner, her glass of rosé stopped halfway to her mouth. She went pale. Then she crossed the entire room, grabbed my arm, and said something I never expected to hear. "Nathan, is it really you? You look like a completely different person." My name is Nathan Cole, and this is the story of how the worst day of my life became the best thing that ever happened to me. If you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Your support keeps these stories coming. 9 years ago, I was a mid-level project manager at a logistics firm. $62,000 a year, steady job, reliable routine. Rachel worked in PR, events, gallery openings, rooms full of people who all seemed to be going somewhere extraordinary. She was magnetic. I always quietly wondered what she saw in me. We married after 3 years to get her. Simple ceremony, backyard reception. I remember catching her scrolling through a friend's wedding photos on her phone during our first dance. I told myself she was just admiring the pictures. The early years were comfortable. Townhouse, 2 cats, Friday takeout, Sunday markets, the kind of life that looks fine from the outside but hollows out when neither of you is growing. Around year 6, Rachel started growing, just not with me. New friends, new opinions, new descriptions of our life. First predictable, then suffocating, then just not enough. I tried everything. Surprise weekends away, cooking classes, suggestions to move cities for a fresh start. Every attempt landed flat. "You're only doing this because I complained. It doesn't count if I have to ask." You can't win that argument. I know that now. The conversation that ended our marriage happened on a Wednesday night in October. Rachel sat across from me at the kitchen table, hands folded with that calm she got when she'd already made up her mind. "I need more than this, more than you can give me." I asked the question I already knew the answer to. "Is there someone else?" She looked at the ceiling. "That's not what this is about." Which meant yes. His name was Callum Park, venture capital Porsche, one of those Instagram pages full of ski trips and rooftop dinners. Everything I wasn't, or so it seemed at the time. The divorce took 8 months. Rachel's attorney was thorough. The house, the car, most of the savings, gone. I got a settlement that was fair on paper and devastating in practice. The day it finalized, Rachel showed up to court in a new blazer, fresh blowout, earrings I'd never seen before. Callum was waiting in the parking lot. I watched from the window as he spun her around, watched them drive away laughing. I stood at that window for a long time. Then I went to my new apartment, sat on a folding chair I'd borrowed from my brother, and stared at the bare walls until it got dark. My brother Dominic called that night. "Come stay with us, man. I need to do this myself." "Do what? Suffer alone?" "Figure out what comes next." I didn't sleep properly for 3 weeks. I went to work, came home, ate whatever required the fewest dishes. My manager, Diane, eventually pulled me aside and told me I looked terrible and to take a week off. The first 2 days, I just existed. TV, pizza, low-effort self-pity. Then on day 3, I woke up at 6 a.m., went to the bathroom mirror, and didn't recognize the man looking back at me. 40 pounds heavier than when we'd met. Gray skin, Dead eyes, the posture of someone who'd spent years making himself smaller to fit into someone else's life. I stood there for a long time, then I said out loud, "This stops today." I walked to a gym 6 blocks away. Not a boutique studio. A real gym. Rubber floors, heavy iron, mirrors that didn't lie. The guy at the desk looked like he'd been built in a factory. First time? Yeah. What are you training for? I thought about Rachel's face in that parking lot. About 9 years of being called grounded like it was a compliment. Everything, I said. His name was Troy. He didn't ask about my marriage. He just showed me how to lift, how to breathe, how to turn the noise in my head into fuel instead of poison. "Anger's good," he said after my 3rd session, "but anger burns out. Build something that runs on more than that." I went 6 mornings a week. I was bad at it, then okay, then better. The weight came off. My head cleared, and when my head cleared, I started thinking differently. During lunch breaks, I stopped eating at my desk and started reading. Not novels, books about building things, business strategy, financial independence, entrepreneurship. I'd spent 9 years managing logistics for other companies and never once thought about doing JIT for myself. I started listening to podcasts on my commute, took online courses at night, called former colleagues who'd left corporate jobs to ask how they did it. 6 months after the divorce, I had a real plan. I knew logistics from the inside out, where money leaked, where time got wasted, where small companies were getting crushed by inefficiencies that the big consulting firms wouldn't touch because the contracts weren't large enough. I was going to sit right in that gap. I told Diane. She thought I was losing it. "You're throwing away seniority and benefits for what? For something that's actually mine." She studied my face. "You're different than you were 3 months ago. I'm paying attention now." The next 18 months were the hardest I've ever worked. Full-time job by day, building the practice every night and weekend. 4 hours of sleep most nights. I took my first client, a small freight company losing money on routing, and worked the problem until they saved over $200,000 in their first year. They told 3 people. Those 3 told others. By month 8, 11 clients. By month 14, 26. I kept training, lost 43 pounds total, got new clothes that actually fit, started standing differently, started speaking differently, stopped apologizing for taking up space. When I finally handed in my resignation, Diane shook my hand and held it a beat longer than usual. "Honestly, I didn't think you'd actually do it." "Neither did I said, "for a long time." Year 2, I hired an assistant named Priya, moved into a real office downtown, and put my name on the door. Coal Operations Consulting. Revenue tripled. The client list grew past 60, then 100, but the numbers weren't even the best part. The best part was the work itself, helping real people who'd built things with their own hands. A woman who'd been running a trucking company for 20 years. Drowning in a contract dispute I helped her untangle. A couple who'd nearly lost their warehouse operation and needed someone in their corner. A guy who'd started a delivery service from his garage and needed to scale it without killing what made it work. I wasn't just managing anymore. I was building, mattering. I moved into a condo downtown, bought a car I actually wanted, adopted a dog named Rook, a big, ridiculous shepherd mix who somehow always knew when I needed company. Dominic noticed everything at Christmas. "Bro, you look like a different person." "I am." "Hear from Rachel at all?" "Stopped thinking about her around month 4. Priya mentioned casually one afternoon that Rachel and Callum had gotten engaged. LinkedIn announcement, vineyard photo shoot. "You okay?" she asked. "Genuinely?" "Yeah, it's a different chapter of a book I already finished." The Ashford Crown Gala was a black-tie charity event for a children's hospital foundation. A client on the board had been asking me to attend for months. I almost skipped it, but something made me say yes. I wore a tailored suit, got a clean shave, and showed up feeling, for the first time in my life, completely comfortable in my own skin. I was mid-conversation with a potential client about his distribution network when I felt it, that specific pressure of being watched from across a room. I turned, Rachel, 20 feet away in a black gown, champagne glass frozen in the air, staring at me like I was something she couldn't make sense of. Our eyes met. She walked over. "Nathan," she said, that uncertain voice I'd never heard from her before. "Rachel, hi." She looked me over. The posture, the suit, the 43 missing pounds, with an expression I couldn't immediately name. "I almost didn't recognize you. You look incredible." 3 years. What have you been doing?" "Living," I said simply. She told me she and Kalu were engaged, showed me the ring. Beautiful, expensive, everything she'd always wanted. Then Callum appeared at her side, tall, silver-templed, exactly what his photos promised. When I told him I ran coal operations consulting, something shifted in his expression. "Coal operations? You did the turnaround for Meridian Freight last year?" "We did. Impressive work. I referenced it in a pitch last quarter." Rachel looked between us like she hadn't expected the game to go this way. Callum excused himself. Rachel turned to me and said quietly, "Can we talk for a minute?" She pulled me toward a quieter corner of the terrace, city lights below us. She looked at me for a long moment before speaking. "Nathan, do you remember me?" "What kind of question is that?" "I mean, do you remember us? Because looking at you right now, I feel like I threw away something I didn't even understand." "You knew what you were leaving," I said. "No edge, just clarity." "I made a mistake. I thought I wanted all of this." She glanced back at the chandeliers, the polished crowd, "But seeing you tonight, I think I let go of the only real thing I ever had." I waited for something to rise up inside me. Anger, old longing, some ember still glowing, nothing, just stillness. "You didn't let go of me, Rachel. You let go of a version of me that wasn't finished yet, and you were right to. But look at you now. The man you're looking at exists because you left. The apartment, the sleepless nights, building from nothing, that's what made this. I never would have found it if you'd stayed." Her eyes filled. "So there's really nothing left? You're engaged to a good man. You have the life you always wanted. Don't look back at what we had and call it a mistake. It wasn't. It was the right ending to the wrong chapter. How are you so calm?" "Because I'm not angry, Nymore. I'm grateful." She carefully wiped the corner of her eye. "I still think about you, more than I should." "Let that go," I said. "You've got a whole life in front of you. Go live it." And I walked back to the party without looking back. The next morning, Priya came in with that look she gets when something unusual has happened. Rachel called. She wants to bring us on as consultants for a new venture she and Callum are launching. I leaned back in my chair. "We're at capacity." "We're really not." "We're at capacity, Priya. Some doors close for a reason. Keep them closed." Rachel and Callum got married in April. Vineyard wedding in Sonoma. By all accounts, exactly what she'd always envisioned. I hope she's happy. I mean that with zero irony. As for me, coal operations just signed our largest contract ever, a regional healthcare logistics network, 6 new hires, new office twice the size of the old one. I bought a house last month, 3 bedrooms, a real backyard for Rook. Nothing extravagant, just mine. I'm seeing someone. Her name is Dana. She teaches high school history and coaches the debate team. She doesn't care about status. She asks how my day was and actually wants to know. She likes me as I am, and I'm not spending a single second trying to be more than that. Last month, Dominic and I sat on his porch watching his kids chase fireflies. He asked if I ever think about Rachel. Sometimes, the way you think about a place you used to live. It was real when you were there. You just don't need to go back. Any regrets? I watched his youngest fall in the grass, laugh at himself, and get straight back up. "Not one," I said. Here's what I know now that I didn't know the day I signed those papers. Comfort isn't happiness. Stability without growth is just a slow standstill, and sometimes the most devastating loss of your life is just the universe clearing the ground so something real can finally take root. So thank you, Rachel, genuinely. Thank you for leaving when I wasn't worth staying for. Thank you for that empty apartment and that bathroom mirror and the anger that became fuel. Thank you for showing me that the man I was could become someone I'd actually respect. When you looked at me across that terrace and asked if I remembered you, here's my real answer. Yes, I remember you. You're the reason I became someone worth remembering. If this story hit home, share it with someone who's rebuilding right now and needs to know the other side exists. Drop a comment. I read everyone. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we post every week, and the next story will blow your mind. The best revenge has always been the life you build afterward. This is truth. Drama Tales, where justice always finds a way. See you next time.